Okay, so here it is. Ma'am, with all due respect to you, ma'am, technology is not all that bad either. Okay? So there are a lot of silver linings along with the dark clouds. Maybe the silver linings actually dominate, right? The dark clouds are only the exceptions, aren't they?
That's a big question. As school leaders, we have questions about that.
So coming back, I'm from Mixed Marks. We are in technology, we are in education-related technology. I just have 10 minutes. Maybe I can stretch it to 15 minutes? Maybe. Okay, fine. I'll wait, don't worry. This is the story of the school. We are all associated with schools here. The story begins with the Gurukul of the ancient age. The Gurukul education was real 24/7 education. Real personalized education. The students, they lived with their teachers. They had full access to the extent it is humanly possible to their teachers, and they learned. Then came the medieval age, during which we had religious education, typically the madrasa-related education. Then time went on, and we have this gentleman, Lord Macaulay, who in 1835 introduced English education in India. Lord Macaulay in 1835. Okay? And we are all Macaulay students. And I would advise all of you to read the minutes that Lord Macaulay sent way back in 1825 to the Imperial Government in London, giving his justification for introducing English education in India. That's very interesting. Okay, please go through this. Then we had the advent of technology. The computer was invented somewhere in the 1970s. The computer went personal thanks to Steve Jobs. Then we had the mobile phone. Then we had the internet. And somewhere in around 2010, we from Extra Marks, we introduced the digital classroom in India. So this is the smart learn class we introduced. We were able to give clear, precise content. There were videos, there were animations which made the education interesting. Digital activities, they improved understanding. There was overall improvement in academic performance, and which ultimately, we are a company, so we talk about business. So the product became popular, and today we are present in 3,000 schools all over the country, providing education to school students. 2012, we changed, we innovated. Earlier, we were providing a different kind of a board. Now we provided an integrated board. So the computer, the UPS and everything were now placed inside the board. So this led to optimized space usage, improved looks, and offered better security. So what next? So now we are back in 2014 to do this, to bridge the gap between school education and the home. In fact, we say anywhere. We say we are going to take learning to a situation where you can learn anytime, anywhere. We are talking about anytime learning, anywhere. And how do we do it? We do it by harnessing the power of the internet, by taking advantage of the portability of the tab, and finally, the skill of Extra Marks. So what do we do? So we do this. Are you tired of carrying a bag on your shoulders? I'm sure, yes you are. Today, a typical school bag weighs about 6 kilos. Are you bored with reading from books? Dull, dreary books? Maybe you are. Are you tired of all this? Well, if you are, welcome to the world of Extra Marks Live, where we provide anytime learning anywhere. This is being provided through 3 different products. The first product is the tab. Okay, where we provide learning from home or from anywhere, virtually wherever you have the tab, you don't need anything. You just need your tab, the battery should be active, should be charged, and you learn as you go. Simple. Okay. Then we have a web-based service called Extra Marks Live Online, and then finally we have the classroom tab. 3 things. And I will quickly take you through these 3 things, and we will finish there. Nobody here, I don't have the time to take you through all these advantages. For that, you have to come to my stall. Right? I don't have time. Within 10 minutes or 12 minutes, I can't manage this. So the Extra Marks Live on tab is learn as you go. My content, my Extra Marks content has been embedded in the tab. So wherever you are, you switch the tab on and you can learn at your convenience. The big benefit of Extra Marks Live on tab. Why do you think we call it Extra Marks Live? Because even after the classroom is over, the class timings are over, my classes are live. They are live on your tab, they are live on your internet. Are you with me? Man, you look a little bored. Are you? Don't worry. In any case, I mean, you can afford to be bored, and you can, it's up to you to be left behind. Right? This is Extra Marks Online. The philosophy is user-friendly learning. We are providing organized content. We are providing voice-over. Okay, so the content talks. So far we were reading, we typically read books. Right? But here I have content which somebody has read out for me. Okay. So I hear myself learn, and it has been proven through research that when you read with 2 senses in place of 1, your learning is better. Right? I offer rich, well-researched content. I give you time management inputs also. So I have a schedule option where you can schedule your studies. You check and have a full report management section where you take tests, your reports get stored, you can look at your reports, and based on those reports you can plan your studies. The idea is focus. See, we believe in efficient education. Well, we don't want people to study for maybe 12 hours a day and get less marks. There are 4 types of students. Okay? There are students who work hard and get good scores. Right? Then you have students who work hard, don't get good scores. You have students who don't work hard, don't get good scores. And you have students who work less and get good scores. And we want all our students to fall in the last bracket. No. We don't want that. Right? So that is why we provide organized content. One of the key problems which happens, which makes students work very hard, is the fact that they are not organized. Neither their learning is organized, nor their schedule is organized, nothing is organized. Lack of organization leads to inefficiency, and we want to do away with that. So that is how my site is organized. Right? I also give the second thing which makes for inefficient learning is a lack of focus. Please check with your students. Okay. If there are 15 chapters, take any subject like maths, a student should give more attention to those chapters where he is weak. He should not, if he is equally dividing his effort, his result will never be optimal. Do you agree? There is no answer. Huh? Now I help. My website helps in identifying, in telling him that boss, out of this 10 chapters which are there in the book, chapter number 3, chapter number 4 are the 2 chapters where you are weak. Please focus your efforts there. Don't waste your time doing chapter number 1 10 times where you are already strong. This is focus. Big companies today, where there is a lot of discussion on improving management efficiency, they talk about focus. They talk about focus in a big company sense. I am talking about focus in an individual student sense. भाई वो चीज पढ़ो जिसमें आप weak रखो, मैं आपको आइडेंटिफाई करके दे रहा हूँ भाई साहब ये चैप्टर में आप लिखो, इसी में टाइम लगाओ. Don't waste your time reading a chapters where you are already strong. This is my second advantage. And there are so many advantages for which you have to come to my stall and see. Then finally, we are coming to the market with a classroom tab, where each student in your class will have a tablet, and the teacher will have a tablet, and your teacher student tablet will talk to each other. And here we are talking about personalized learning. We are not taking you into some unforeseen future. We are actually taking you back to the Gurukul. In the Gurukul, the teacher was offering personalized learning because the teacher knew that this student is weak in this area. Okay. With this tab, you can boost your children.
How do you get holistic development then? Personalized learning.
Yeah.
On the one hand, we speak about personalized learning, and on the other hand, we speak about developing the 8 multiple intelligence skills and holistic development. Please focus on that.
Okay. Answering your question. Multiple intelligence. Now, ma'am, to the extent I understand multiple intelligence, it is this, that all intelligence is not purely rational. Normally, we look at only the rational side of intelligence. There is spatial intelligence also. Some people are very good at understanding spaces. Right? And those guys make for great civil engineers. Right? We have holistic intelligence also. Right? Now, with my tablet, in one classroom, if you have 40 students, you can group them. You can make 4 groups. Let us say 30. So one group which is good at spatial intelligence, one group which is good at rational intelligence, another group which is good at holistic intelligence. And you can give your inputs. Okay? Considering the needs of each individual group. So for example, there is something called rhythmic intelligence also. Right? For example, 1 plus 1 equals 2, or 2 plus 2 equals 4, whatever. Okay? Somebody who has rational intelligence will understand it on the blackboard or the whiteboard. But somebody whose rational intelligence is not so well developed would probably understand it better through rhythmic inputs. Give 2 taps. Tell me how many taps did I make? I made 2 taps. This, the man who has strong rhythmic intelligence skills will understand better. So if you have grouped your children accordingly, then you will get more efficient teaching.
More than the education is like we need managers these days who are always busy doing planning, organizing. We are outsourcing the education. So what is the role of the head of the institutions, the teachers and the experts?
Ma'am, you are the head of the institutions, the teachers. They are actually education managers to some extent. Apart from being teachers, they also have a managerial role. Through all my inputs, okay, I am actually making you conscious about those rules. And see this, with all due respect, like to all of you who are in the teaching community, most teachers forget that. I am a great teacher of physics. My understanding of physics is superb. And if I take a class, everybody listens to me with rapt attention, which is good. Right? But I must come to understand that there are people in my classroom who are not understanding things. They are not understanding things because they are probably the basic mathematical skills are weak. Or because their spatial intelligence is weak, because physics is all about space, time, and all these things.
So let me ask a question. We're talking about tablets and personalized learning. We're deviating from the...
Ma'am, when I said personalized learning, I meant this. Let us say I was like you. You are somebody with rational intelligence skills are highly developed. Right? So then I put you in that group. In a class of 40 students, I create a group which is strong on rational skills. I create another group which is strong on rhythmic skills. I create another. So now I have identified that, see, I have 10 different groups. Okay? And all these 10 different groups are connected to identified with group and tab. And I tailor-make my inputs in such a way that each group gets inputs which are conducive to that particular group concept. That is how I am making education happen. Okay, I don't have much time. Okay, I'll address your questions. You don't feel satisfied now, I understand that.
Can I have a question, please?
Yeah.
You said that you should do something that you are weak in.
Yeah.
Particularly in
You
case
should
of
focus
children.
your effort.
Yeah. You should be focused in the area in which you are weak.
Yeah.
Now it sounds very pleasing to the ears, but does it sound pleasing to the children as well? Because they would never like to do something they are weak in. They would like something which they take interest in.
Sir, end of the day, the students have to score. They have to get good marks, they have to learn their lessons well. If they have to do this, then we need to tell them. First, we need to identify the weak areas. Many students even don't know which areas they are weak in. They might, if I ask somebody, he might say, yes, I am weak in maths. But which subject in maths? Are you weak in algebra, weak in geometry, weak in trigonometry? Where? If you ask this question,
Can we put it the other way?
pardon?
I said instead of using the word weak, we don't label the child, they give you something else.
Why to say that you are weak? You should.
No, I am not telling. See, I am not telling anyone you are weak. I am just giving the score. By you getting 40 out of 100 in algebra, you are getting 90 out of 100 in trigonometry. So don't waste your time studying trigonometry at the moment. Please focus on algebra, get it from 40 to 60 at least for the next stage. The point is that most students today don't understand this. If I am strong,
What I want to say differently is that if you motivate a child by telling that you are very good in this area, thereby the child will come back.
Okay, got it. You rephrase that. Okay, when I say weak, as sir suggested, you said that okay, you need improvement. Right. Okay, so finally, this is not the end, it's just the beginning. So we are talking about a new dawn, exciting promises and infinite possibilities. If you are interested, see actually I gave this idea to some children, school children. I said, see, I'm talking about this anytime, anywhere, learning right here. So please make some sketches. So some sketches which have come, I'll show you. They're made by children. Okay. Definitely not by professionals. Let's take a look at it. There's a joke between that. The apple looks a little petrified. Why? Because these guys are reading the law of gravity, which when Newton was studying, the apple had to fall. Right? This is easy learning. Something like this. Anyway, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for your time and attention. Thank you. Any question? I'm willing to get.
We will now start with our next session, Building Visionary Schools in Globalized World. We would ask the stage floor of Jiva Foundation to please take over the session. Building Visionary Schools in Globalized World. In Globalized World, competition has reached its peak. Building visionary schools which ensure better future for children is of utmost importance. Keeping itself in tune with latent strengths and imparting different kinds of knowledge in an effective way are crucial for every visionary school to develop in the globalized world.
Adab, Sat Sri Akal. I would like to thank Seema and Ilet for giving me the opportunity to be with you on this occasion. I see many familiar faces here, some friends from all over the country, so I've been to many of your schools. Happy to see you. Before we start, Seema says I have 5-10 minutes because time is short, and we've got this topic of how to build visionary schools in a globalized world. So I think it's an immense challenge. And I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous, but I think I need some extra strength for this because to pull off a feat like that, I think, requires some divine intervention. So I'm just going to ask you, we've been missing one thing from the program I think so far, which is a little music. So we're just going to sing a small song. It's a hymn in praise of God called Alpha and Omega. And I'll just sing a line and then you can repeat after me and then we'll sort of like awaken our senses. So in 5 to 10 minutes we can actually do some justice with a little bit of the help from Upawala. Are you ready? You are Alpha. Again, you are Alpha and Omega. Come on, just say and Omega. You are Alpha and Omega. We worship you, our Lord. worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. You are worthy to be praised. You are the glory. You are the glory. We worship you, our Lord. You are worthy to be praised. You are worthy to be praised. You are worthy to be praised. So I hope he's listening. So I've got a really big topic to talk about, and I'll just give you a very brief context in case you don't know me. I'll keep it very short. I'm Stephen Rudolph. I'm the Educational Director at the Teaching Institute. I also represent a school, which is Diva Public School, based in Faridabad. I've been in India for 20 years, so it is quite a long time that I'm here. I very much consider myself, you've heard of an NRI. I consider myself an NRA, non-resident American. I've shared so much of the growth and the development of India. I was here when I first came. There was only one radio station. There was no satellite TV. There were only 3 automobiles. There were no mobile phones. I think you remember the time. You could hardly even find a bottle of decent water. In that amount of time, we have seen so much growth and we have seen so much change that's taken place right in front of our eyes. And as we've been hearing and we've been seeing, this generation of children who's going through our schools today is actually the first digital generation. They are the first ones who grew up with remotes and phones in their hands. They probably don't remember a time before there was a remote. And so, in a time like this, we have super challenges that are with us. And I actually come from the future. I mean, I'm from America, so when I say I come from the future, in the sense that I come from a country that's quote-unquote developed. And developed in certain ways. And being here in India so many years, I finally actually understood when I went back to America after about 10 years. I've been going back and forth. But after 10 years, I found out what it felt like actually to go to America for the first time. I've been taking bucket baths, and I've been dealing with power outs, and I've been, having a very more rustic kind of life for so many years. And what I found when I went to America after 10 years was that everything is very smooth over there. You go, you drive, and there's a lot of civic obedience. Things work properly, lights work, there's no power outs, so on and so forth. But at the same time, I found people very discontent. We have our own share of problems. They're first world problems that we have. That might be obesity and problems of teenage pregnancies and drug abuse and gang violence. So the level of problems that exist there is equal in terms of the concern that people have. It's not that people are saying, yeah, we're in the first world, but everything is great. We have our share of problems. As I came to India, and I've seen things growing, and I've seen people's visions and perspectives have been leaning toward the West. People want the best of the West. The challenges that I've seen have largely been with that people want to take the best, but not necessarily own up to the responsibilities that go with those things. And in a way, I'm here for 2 reasons. I figured out some of my purpose in life, but there's 2 specific reasons why I believe I landed up in India. One of them is that I speak of America, let it be the West, but I'll speak of my own country. We need some things that India has. At the same time, being here in India, I think I've sort of understood my ability to be able to reflect back to people what it is that they could be doing, need to be doing, so they get to have the best of both worlds. They get to have the best of India, and they also get to have the best of the West. But most importantly, as an ambassador who needs to request that people take this knowledge that exists here, the indigenous knowledge, much of the wisdom that exists here, to embrace it, and to share that also with the West. Because I think the challenge that we have is that if we allow it to happen, more and more foreigners start to come in, as we're watching it happen. We also run the risk of co-opting. Americans are now trying to do Ayurveda. My own company, Jiva Ayurveda, does Ayurveda. But in America, Ayurveda just means massage. There's no medicines or anything like that, because massage is easy. You can start out trying to patent neem and trying to patent haldi and take yoga and turn it into hot yoga and boxing yoga and all kinds of other types of unspeakable yogas. So we also run the risk that if the indigenous knowledge here is not protected, not preserved, not presented also globally in the right way, the imbalance is going to continue. So this is sort of the precursor that I have to our very short session now. It's what I would like to achieve. When we look at the problems in our society, and we have so many things to complain about, we have lots and lots of things to complain about, I think you'll also agree that the discussion always winds up coming back to education. You start talking about corruption, you go around and around, this guy, that guy, this scam, that scam. At the end of the day, it's going to come back to, we have to do something starting from education. If we talk about pollution, and we talk about poverty, we speak about all these problems, and it always winds up coming back to education. And my question, and we have a few minutes to take some comments, is in a situation like we have today, where there is, as Sid had mentioned in his talk, this growth away from that traditional concept of a gurukul and that deep sort of learning, to a point where we have industrialized our education, and to a point where people are very much out of touch with themselves, with their own culture. People wearing, ultimately Western dress, the language of the elite being English, studying in Western buildings, with more and more Western technology coming in. What is it that we can do, or what is it that we need to be doing to prevent things from the fabric of our society from becoming so tattered and so frayed that it becomes, I wouldn't say almost irreparable. India is incredibly resilient. It's a 5,000-year-old culture that has managed to consume and digest and metabolize just about every foreign invasion and cultural invasion. I think that this Western quote-unquote invasion is going to be a blip on the horizon of history as we go into the future. But what is it that we can do now as educators to prevent things perhaps from becoming too chronic, from becoming so far over the edge that it's hard to bring it back, and as a consequence we wind up suffering, our children wind up suffering when they don't necessarily need to. So what is it that we could be doing? I suppose it's a broad question, but I was given a broad topic. Perhaps you might want to share some of your thoughts and opinions. Please.
As you very rightly said, that the indigenous elements are being weeded out, particularly in the schools like ours, where most children come from very affluent homes. They're studying the international curricula. But now beginning to realize, I think first and foremost, it is very important to instill in our children respect and love for their own culture. I would say the majority of the children, say about 60% of the students are Indians. But the rest, of course, the 40% are non-Indians. But it's very important to instill in the Indian children respect and love for their own culture, and to ensure that they disseminate that love and respect amongst their peers who are not from India. Also very important that when we teach the international curricula, we integrate some elements of the Indian culture into the international curricula. I would particularly commend the curricula that we teach, the ITCS are very receptive to assimilation from the indigenous culture. So I think as educators, first and foremost, we need to show respect for our culture. We need to instill in our children respect for their own culture. We need to make them understand that if we don't respect the culture, how can we expect the others to do it?
Yes, maybe we can follow up in terms of how, if anybody has some thoughts about how that might happen.
Yes, and for the betterment of society and community. We see the knowledge. Knowledge has been created in one part of the world or the other. Now this technology has put up, helped us to see this knowledge pool we call it, a knowledge repository, which is available with the click of the button. Just we click, everything is there. So it does not mean that we have given up our culture, our tradition, indigenous beauty, and this time glory of our king. That would be there, that is part of our culture, that is part of our identity, that is part of our persona, that is inspired and truly enjoyed, truly love it. At the same time, there is nothing wrong, something in one part of the world or the other. Ultimately, the nation, concept of the nation, and the time and space, concept of time and space shrinking and shrinking. So there is nothing wrong if something good is there in one part of the world or the other. That is a common legacy, common knowledge, common thing. The world community, every human being should emulate if it is really good and feel pride in being an environment. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Saying how to do it. I think I would suggest this when the culture can be applied from the
I want to connect that thought because, see, coming from America, our country was built by people who came from all over the world and had to leave their land behind, they had to leave everything behind. So when they showed up and there was nothing there, your only value is what you could do or make with your hands. And so every American, practically speaking, is ready to work with his hands from the bottom level to a CEO. If the bathroom is not clean, the owner of that company will get in there and do it himself. There is no work that is beyond anybody. So people want to have automobiles, they want to have technology. Software programmers want to have that title, but then they don't want to clean their computer. In fact, I had a computer programmer working for me one time, and his computer was dirty, and my partner said that clean your computer. He said, it's not my job. My partner said that I can clean your computer, you quit. And he said, fine, I quit. And he walked out on the job just like that. So how do we overcome this feeling of elitism that people here find this sort of like, I don't think my generation wants to sit on the chair and work for other people.
Dignity of work.
Dignity, yes.
Dignity of labor.
Yes. How do we instill it? How do we instill it?
Let them dirty their hands.
Let them dirty their hands. Easier said than done.
So this question, dignity of labor, is very deeply related to the Hindu caste system. Right? The whole concept, that software program that you spoke about. Deep.
No, it's not. In Japan, no, it's not. In Japan, the first half an hour of the day is spent.
Sorry, see, we share information. I think that's very important, right? I grew up in the US. I know that we want to get our hands dirty. Here, the problem isn't being a role model. Part of the time, you have to be the role model the whole time. The example you are giving to us, it's very much like wanting to get something done, so you shame somebody to do it out of cultural values.
It's not shame.
Right, but how many of us, I know that I try to pick up a chair in wheelchair in my school, the shock on the faces of everyone. It is a cultural standard, it is a cultural norm. And we are not being role models by allowing those practices to continue either. So I think we need to look at ourselves.
That's how you're perceiving it.
Role models.
How you're perceiving it, okay? At home, Mama does all the work. We clean our bathrooms. We take great pride in cleaning it. Same way in Japan, the first half an hour is spent by the teachers and the students cleaning the toilets.
But we're not talking about Japan. Again, if you were looking to talk about cultural values and standards, looking
It's happening in India. In our convent schools, we had
microphone, obviously. What I'm saying is this.
Take initiative. It should be done for the right reasons, but not in a method to shame people, but rather for the right reasons. Can I please agree on that part?
Also, I feel that values and discipline cannot be enforced. It has to be inculcated. And it cannot be done in a day. It takes time to change systems, change mentality, and change habits. You know, it's difficult for words to become habits. It will take time. So, counseling has to be there, and every teacher has to be a counselor. We cannot expect the counselor to do the whole job. Every single person has to contribute.
I think that it's very important for us to make the foundation very strong, whether it's the family or it's the institution. Also, we need to design a philosophy and a culture which relates to this. Finally, I think the most important thing, it is very simple. At our school, it's a part of the curriculum. It's the entire curriculum that I have built, which I'm proud and I can share. The underpinning of the curriculum is how you make society more human, how you make children simple human beings by initiating, which I'm sure many CBSE schools also do it, community service. And that's the simple way. We have programs where children build buildings. We have programs where children, it's part of the curriculum, it's nothing out of the curriculum. Visit the old age home, they try and build things for them. They build a traffic park, they work with cancer patients, they teach the PMC schools. I think somewhere we need to underpin of every school curriculum should be how do you make an impact to the students by not telling them what to do and still getting it done for them and sensitizing.
Okay, so Vandana's point is to make it part of the curriculum, and in this sense, if we find that schools are disenfranchised,
programs that they also would be undertaking. Now, I'd just like to share with everybody, I think this is something which is inherent in most of the international curricula which are being taught. Particularly, we talk about the IB diploma program that is being taught in Vandana's school and schools like ours. It is mandatory for students to undertake these programs, and let me tell you, it came as an eye-opener to me. Our children who come from very affluent homes, right through the winter break, these children were part of a project where they were teaching the establishment staff how to communicate effectively in English. 30 establishment staff in a row with about 5 children who would ordinarily douse themselves with a lot of deodorant. It was stuffy in those rooms. But the fact that they were enjoying it so thoroughly reflected very clearly that the attitudinal change had happened. So I think this is what we need to bring about, awareness that there has to be an attitudinal change, and this has to happen in tandem with homes. You have to let the parents know.
Does it continue?
Yes, it does.
I think we'll have time just for another comment and a half. Because we've got to do to finish the awards ceremony. Please. Keep it just about a minute.
I'll give it 0.75 comments.
Perfect. Go ahead.
My name is Raman. I'm the Managing Director of INDS Schools and Raman, Managing Director of the INDS Schools. I think it's important to celebrate the change that we want to see as well.
Yes.
Unfortunately, our popular culture inculcates consumerism in children. Overtly, on the surface, material consumerism, but underneath consumerism in terms of ideas. And it's important for us to celebrate the new ideas, the change that we want to see on a regular basis, in terms of not only in terms of encouraging students to do surveys, but also to dissect the ideas that are floating around, so they don't absorb the wrong ideas by osmosis.
Please. And I'll just add a quarter of a point here. One thing that we're doing at Chico Public School as part of our curriculum, and I think gets a lot of the hands-on thing happening, is a lot of craft and craft work throughout the school, using artisans, using a lot of materials that are recyclable to get them into the craft, which gets the indigenous designs and that spirit of dignity of labor working with hands You can contact me after, I'll tell you more about some of the neat stuff that we're doing with the craft, but think about it, please, sir. Last comment.
The only point I wish to make is there is a great deal of tokenism which happens in schools. Let us accept it. Community service, any other issue which we do, but the curriculum mandatorily we do a lot. As this gentleman talked about the culture, we cannot have Japan here overnight. Neither can we change our own cultures overnight. So can we go beyond the tokenism? Can we go beyond this and be sustainable? God bless us. That's the question.
The question is to you, yes? Seems 72.
It can be as simple as caring. I'm sure if the children know to care for their fellow beings in the class, it's itself a culture. I don't see that even in Japan teach us caring. And when we talk about missionary schools, culture can also be caring. I mean, not be going and caring for others outside. I'm talking about building a value and a culture. Caring can be a missionary school. That the whole purpose of the school is caring for my friends. There's a friend who's not got his dappa in the short break. Why don't you share? Sharing. Taking care of each other. I think that is what is a missionary school, is imbibing those kind of values and continuing to live it. And we're not there talking about cleaning the toilets and adopting something from Japan or US or any part of the world. And our roots in India are so strong, like Stephen said, he's not gone out of here for 10 years. And he's not going still after 20 years. So the culture is so strong. So I don't think it's difficult. And we cannot say that it's not possible. It is so much inbuilt in us that I think it continues to live with you, however westernized you may become. However you may copy the West. Till now, when I am so modern, my daughter still tells me, Mom, come on, be the century person. I don't know what they mean by that, but believe me, however forward we go, however we may copy the West, but our values and our culture and caring, sharing, being kind-hearted is inculcated in every Indian.
So we were 3 comments over. How about
just one. I would like to say, for any missionary school, the main objective should always remain same, that is flourishing the humanity. And that can be done by making our children experience the beauty of each and every subject. The science, the art, the music, like Stephen was just saying, cleanliness, we just make them understand and have them experience the beauty of each of that. I think that will be
I think one more thing I would like to add, it's very simple. People, organizations in these days, they are carrying one slogan or one call that we are a visionary school and our vision and mission is this one. If in spite of writing simple vision on the board, we are following that, implementing that, and again coming to the morning issue that we are executing that would be the wonderful vision of all of us. Be the change you want. Yeah.
See, when we are talking of literacy, health literacy and community service, they are very, very important. I remember 25 years I worked in a school where I started computer literacy program. My students would pick up the class 4 employees' children and do computers and teach them twice a week. So some way we can begin, the charity begins at home.
So moving beyond the tokenism, at least starting with the token, moving beyond the tokenism, making it part of a curriculum, letting it be hands-on. We've got, I think, we're really on. How about this? I'm going to stick around. This is a topic that I love to talk about. So find me outside. We can make a small group and we can continue to chat on this topic. It seems like it's part of everybody's imagination. But we really are the people who are changing education and changing the future. At a summit like this, and when education is that one main thing that's making the change happen, it's happening right here. We are weaving the fabric back together again. There's this concept everybody knows about that caught my fascination of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And that, we say that it's now a global village, right? We used to have a village where everybody sort of got scattered, and now with WhatsApp and all these things, we're sort of back together again. And in a village, we have to have our values, and we have to treat each other. When I drive on the road, even though people cut me off and they do all kinds of bad things, I still say, "Ye mera bhai hai, ye mera uncle hai, ye mera tao hai." When I'm driving, so I can keep myself contained. I view everybody like that, and I think that if we all do that, that caring is going to automatically start to happen. So perhaps on that note, with that spirit, we could bring that into the vision of our schools and really have a global Thank you very much for a great session. So we did this song, we'll do another one next time. Okay, I did the song first.